Hello and welcome to Across the Park podcast. We had a few technical issues getting on, but we're joined, as you can see, by Mike from the Blueboyz network. How you doing, Mike?
Yeah, mate, I'm good. Good to be on. It feels like it's been forever since I've been on your channel. Like forever.
Yeah, it was a while back, wasn't it? Loads have happened since as well.
I know we'll have to create the Pricey and Mike show.
Yeah, I know Millsy's got his. Yeah, Millsy's got his own little show with you. That goes well, doesn't it?
Yeah. It does all right. Yeah, he's all right. He's a decent co-host.
Yeah. So for anyone who's not seen the Blueboyz network and wondering about your Brummie accent, let's start there, Mike. So for any of our viewers, what's the history there? Why a blue?
Dad's a Scouser, so Dad's a Scouser. He moved to Liverpool when he was 1 from North Wales. Pretty common story. Grandad couldn't get any work. Ended up working in the docks as a merchant sailor from Liverpool. Dad grew up in Liverpool, fell in love with the city, fell in love with Everton, had a season ticket for years and years and years and years. However, I think in the late 80s, maybe he struggled for work in Liverpool, ended up moving to Birmingham, met my mum, the magic happened, and here I am sitting here as Evertonian through and through as I am, but with a stupid Brummie accent. So I love the city, I love Liverpool, I love the people, I love everything about. If I could move my entire family up northwest into Liverpool, I would. I love the place. I love the people. So, yeah, mate, I'm completely devoted to being an Everton fan. I'm more than happy to do the 220-mile round trip every weekend to watch us play okay, actually, this season. It's been all right.
Yeah. Fair play. I mean, backstory like that, we'll accept you as one of our own as you are. Proper Scouser. If you're half as a Scouser, you're a Scouser. You make the effort to come. Fair play, through and through, Mike.
I'm as well as a proper Scouser can get, eh?
Yeah. But yeah, you've said there, we'll go into. I mean, we're just going to have a little review of the season so far. Now that we're into an international break, see how we've done. A couple of defeats, 1 win, numerous draws. Doesn't sound too good on paper, but is that how you felt it's gone, or has it gone all right for you?
I've only been disappointed, like as in 100% disappointed in 1 game, and that was the Forest game at home. That was a game I think Everton should have won. I expected Everton, who finished 16th last season, stayed up by the scruff of their neck, got absolutely battered last game of the season by Arsenal 5-1 or whatever it was in the end. I didn't expect loads of points from Chelsea at home. I didn't expect us to go to Villa and beat them away, if I'm being brutally honest. But you have that hope that you've got a good record against Chelsea, you'll get 3 points, you'll maybe get a draw at Villa, and all of a sudden your season looks different, don't it? But when you don't have a striker and he's gone out 3 days before the season starts, it was difficult to know what to expect. The positive was he brings in Connor Cody, and all of a sudden we look more solid, we look more compact, and the games that went forward after that. I'm not going to say we look unbeatable, because every team's had a few chances against Everton, but we definitely look, defensively at least, a million times better than last season.
Mm-hmm. We do.
So I'm all right with it. I'm all right with the start personally. If you'd have said that you'd be unbeaten in 6 games in all competitions, I would have took it.
And I think that's the point. I think being solid at the back, bringing in those 2 experienced centre halves and being solid and building a foundation, if you like, of that defence has been the priority in the summer. He's obviously looked at the previous centre halves, and I know we've had injuries as well, but it's obviously an area he needs to improve upon. And he's done fair play. He's gone out. He's bought experience. He hasn't gone for young and enthusiastic in terms of the centre backs. He's gone for experience. The amount of Premier League games they've had between them is off the charts. I think they've played hundreds of games between them. Both ever present in as well in the previous clubs that they were at. So I think that's a really good point. Is the base, and go from there. Then that builds the confidence. What I love about those 2, I think we said it on the show before, but I love not only how they are defenders, but what they bring to the club as well, the leadership qualities that they have, which we've missed for ages, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, you've all of a sudden, you've managed to transform that back four or back five occasionally, depending on how he sets it up, with two additions, because they talk, they communicate, they get in the ref's face, they get in the opposition's face. I mean, Tarkowski's an absolute joke of a player. Like he's a joke because he is as much as a wind-up merchant as he will clatter through. Yeah, as much as he will play a neat ball out to the left or the right. And don't get me wrong, we've seen it a few times this season, certainly against Forest. He can make a mistake. He can get a little bit slow and sloppy on the ball. But actually, when he's asked to be just a defender, he's fantastic. I was over the moon when we signed him. And then to add Connor Cody to the mix, who, look, whether he's a Red in his previous life or not, he's given everything to Everton Football Club so far. I mean, you know, he scores a goal that's offside. He celebrates like he's won the league. He gets the captain's armband. He celebrates like a captain. He comes out, makes a post about how it's an honour to him. The whole team are looking at those two and all of a sudden going, do you know what? We have real leadership, but we don't just have leadership. We've got people that if we feel we're having it put to us, you know, like Gordon's gone down a few times or Damari Gray's gone down a couple of times. You know, if you're an attacking player, you're going to get it from one of them. You're going to know about it. And then if it does kick off, you see them run straight over. You see them getting involved, supporting their teammates. Everton have been so soft that we've been able to roll over and have our little belly stroked. It's different. It's so different. And you've seen an emergence of Patterson and even Mikalenko, who people have criticised him going forward. Absolutely fine. He's been absolutely rock solid defensively. And that, for me, is the priority of a left and right back. I know people will say, get the ball on, you know, all of that. But they have looked like a really composed unit. And even when you change it to a 5, Holgate's looked fantastic. Even Michael Keane's looked decent. So you're looking at the whole side and you're going, we actually look like we can defend. And it's brilliant. It's absolute. It's so reassuring to know that, look, we might draw a lot of games this season, 0-0, 1-1. But, mate, we were losing them games last season.
That's it, and not concede. I mean, the old saying, if you don't concede, you can't get beaten. I think that's where we started. Two back-to-back clean sheets just proved it. And yeah, as you say, there might be boring games to come because, you know, we're having a go attacking wise, and, you know, we're trying to get, you know, Gordons and Grays into the game and whatever else. But fundamentally, we're not getting, you know, we're not conceding as many as we were, and there will be boring games. But to nick a 1-0, I'll take that all day compared to last season, and conceding 2 and 3 time and time after again. But with those two centre-backs, I think you're right. I think it gives the full-back confidence as well. You know, 2 young full-backs who, you know, Mikalenko, I think he's brilliant, but he's been brilliant defensively. You know, you look at Luca Dean and what we've lost going forward with Dean, his delivery and his crosses. I think that can come. I think his positional play is really good, and he's a grafter as well, which I love about him. And Patterson is like a mini-me Coleman. He's just shone for me. He's been brilliant, but he's 21. He's got bags of confidence. Nothing seems to have phased him, but he's got quality as well, and that's what I like about him. Yeah,
I think you're absolutely spot on, and people use the Luca Dean analogy like so much when Mikalenko walked in, but and there'll be some Blues that will hate me for this, but actually I thought Luca Dean had been pretty crap for about 2 years going forward and backwards. You know, yes, he could score the free kick, but his delivery from beating people from a corner had not been great for a long time. You know, he hasn't got that blistering pace. So Mikalenko doesn't, in my opinion, have massive boots to fill. Yes, he was creative, no doubt about it. But if we're losing that creativity and keeping clean sheets, I take that. I allow our wingers to try and develop that and try and improve that. I think, and I'm sure we'll talk about it as the pitch goes forward, but what I think has been interesting is it really has highlighted the difference between Everton, in my opinion, being a top 6, top 8, top 10 side and being a bottom 12, bottom 14, bottom 16 side. And right now, it's not defensively that's the issue. Everton would absolutely be, even based on stats as of right now, a top 6 side if they could score more goals.
Yeah. And I think that was the issue on Sunday. At half time, me and Mills were having a pint and we were like, the issue here is that we haven't got any players, or not that we haven't got any players, but they're struggling to create chances. And, you know, Gordon's not renowned for his final ball. It'll come, he's only younger, it'll come in time. Gray's not renowned for his crossing. You know, he can pull one out the bag and score a belter every now and again, but he's not really one who'll beat a man and get his crossing straight away. Gordon's on. Obviously, you haven't got the more players are number 9, but you haven't got that target man number 9 who's going to be in between the posts and in getting the 6-yard box and that cross. And I think when Calvert-Lewin comes, you know, we'll go to the top of the pitch now. When Calvert-Lewin comes in, I think you can work on your deliveries and stuff like that. But it's having that focal point for me. And if you can get particularly Gordon, to release the ball earlier and more effectively instead of trying to dribble his man and take it on. And I think if we can establish him and build him up and then get your Gray involved, and you know, McNeil hasn't looked like an half decent player if I'm being completely honest with you. But if we can get him playing and we can, it's about creating chances for me, and it's about turning those players into not less selfish players, but just like Townsend, would he get a yard and he beat his man and he crossed it in.
I was just about to say, in the way that Everton play right now, and this is ridiculous. This comment is ridiculous that I'm about to make listening to it. But actually, the most dangerous winger we probably have is Andros Townsend, because he's very simple. He gets the ball out of his feet and he delivers the ball into the box. And Calvert-Lewin wins headers. He's not great as a footballer at his feet. He tends to miss one-on-ones. He's not the most composed. I don't think he scores the goal that Malpay scores against West Ham, personally. I don't think that's a Lewin goal. So when you've got that mix and potentially even playing 4-4-2 in the future, you know, with Onana and maybe Iwobi dropping over to a left-hand side position as well, because he's been fantastic. All of a sudden, what I'm saying is there's options. Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right about Gordon. I would make exactly the same argument for Gray. The amount of times on Sunday and this season where he's held on to the ball far too long, he's beat his man, and then he's either tried to beat another man instead of a simple pass, or he's pulled it inside and shot. And that's absolutely fine. But you understand why Leicester got frustrated with him. And you then also see that actually, if you did have a 35 or a 40 million pound winger who made that decision-making process just a little bit better, you see that Everton actually would go from, as I say, this team that's, say, 12th, 14th, wherever we finish this season, to being slightly higher, because the goals would be there. Neil Malpay allows you to play with 2 up front, because he plays as a player that can play off Calvert-Lewin as well. It's just exciting. Like, I'm happy. Garner's been a massive addition as well, because it allows Patterson and Mikalenko to charge forward and he to slot into that gap in that transition. So I'm really happy. Look, we're not scoring as many goals as I'd like us to, but if this is the building blocks of the start to come for this season and beyond, I was critical of Frank at times last season, but I'm starting to see what he was thinking. I'm starting to see what his plan is, and I'm quite excited to see where it goes, I must say.
Yeah. When you listen to Lampard talk, like you've just said there, you're critical. I was a bit critical of him last season, because I think he came in with the idea that, not that it was going to be easy, but the players are there, I'll get them playing, we'll climb up the league, job done. I think that's what he came in with, that mindset. He suddenly realised that he couldn't do it, but I think it took him probably 1 or 2 many games to realise that he just needs to shore it up and just needs to make sure we're harder to beat. So I was critical of him, but listening to him and getting into it, I mean, I rate him so highly, and it's probably half of the thing is because of how he speaks as well. I just love how he speaks. He seems to speak with sense and passion as well. But just a couple of things I've heard him talk about recently and in the summer is that realisation that I can't do it all at once. It's going to take time. It's going to take more than one transfer window. This transfer window has been a decent one. It's been a good one, but it's going to take a few of those in order to turn us into what we want to turn into. And as you say, I'm excited because I think the signs are definitely there of what he's trying to do or what he can do in the future, given time and given a little bit more money.
Yeah, and he's been hamstrung by financial fair play since the moment he joined. You know, we bought in Mikalenko and Patterson under Benitez, or we certainly bought in Mikalenko because that was the thing, wasn't it? Mikalenko was bought in, Luka Dean was sold, and then Benitez was sacked. Well, what was the point? It's very much been a case of he's had to get players out. Contracts have been wound down. You know, your players on big money, Sigurdsson, your Tosin, other players that have been moved on. This has released more money for financial fair play. Everton made sure they towed the line. They were clever. They sold Richarlison on the very last date that they could to try and maximise as much money as they could. Fair enough, no problem with that. So it's allowed Everton to be a little bit more creative in this window. Dele Alli going, you know, for me, he didn't do it at Everton, but I'll always be grateful for that one second half performance against Palace. But he hadn't done it at Everton. So even if we're paying 50% of his wages, you're talking millions of pounds off the wage, but even 50% because these players are on so much. So I'm all of a sudden thinking, well, what's January going to hold? You know, what little tweak can we make? Or is it a case of we see this season out, maybe we finish 13th? I'm not sitting here expecting the world. I'm not. But then what can we do next season? How can we improve that? We've got a little bit more money to spend because of financial fair play. You know, we'd already been linked with Kudus, for example, at Ajax at £8 million. He's started this season unbelievable. He scored 6 goals in 8 games or something, Kudus.
And he's confirmed we're interested as well, hasn't he, Kudus?
Yeah, we were 100% in for him. It's just Ajax didn't want to get rid of him, and it's obviously proved why, because he's a top player. But if you'd have bought Kudus in, you wouldn't see Iwobi. You wouldn't have seen the emergence of how Iwobi's become a full box-to-box central midfielder either. So if we can just get a few more options in that creative, in that final third, so we can mix it up and change it, will be great. Because at the minute, weirdly, our most creative player, who's got 3 assists, I think is Alex Iwobi, which is mad to say, bearing in mind that literally 6 months ago, I would have drove him anywhere out of our football club, no problem.
Do you know what? I took me. My daughter goes. She goes when I can get a ticket. I've got a season ticket. Take her when there's a spare next to me. If there's ever a spare, I take her, and she goes. And I took her around. When did we play West Ham at home? Just before Christmas or just after Christmas or whatever it was. And as we come in like a minute late, and we ran up. And Iwobi got the ball, and the whole crowd just went fuck as soon as he got the ball.
Yeah.
And she just turned to me. She went, "Who's that?" And she was 11 at the time. "Who's that, Dad?" I was like, "That's Iwobi." "Why does everyone hate him?" Because he's shit, babe. She was like, "Oh, I feel sorry for him." I was like, I know, so do I. But let's just watch it. And then in the summer, and then I've been coming home, made up with Iwobi, end of last season, this season, buying her the pink shirt, and she goes, "Dad," I said, "What? Am I allowed to get Iwobi on my top?" I was like, "Yeah, go on, put him on." Yeah. Completely changed how you feel about him, but whether it's been put in that centre midfield, which has been like by chance rather than design, I don't know. But he's just shone completely, hasn't he?
He's been brilliant. He's been a complete breath of fresh air. He's been someone that I've trusted. I've seen him before play a pass in the middle of the park, give the ball away, and we've conceded a goal. I think that was West Ham away last season. I've seen him bottle challenges. I've seen him, in my opinion, not put that work rate in. And actually this season, I don't feel like he's bottled a challenge. I feel like his passing has been fantastic. And I feel like he cares. And what really stood out for me is he's had these patches before, like last season. And when I've been doing watch-alongs with John, and I used to say, it's Iwobi. He was fantastic for like 4 games under Carlo Ancelotti. And he's had these moments, just like Tom Davies has. Tom Davies has had 2 or 3 great games, and you go, is this the turning point? With Iwobi, I always used to go, he's just having his good 4 games a season. He has that period, and then he'll be shit again. But actually, he looks different. He's talking different. He's acting different. He's doing not that I'm like 100% on this, but these TikToks with Anana and Damari Gray in the dressing room, he's showing his confidence. He's showing that he cares. He came out and he said, "Look, I appreciate I hadn't started very well in my Everton career. Well, you keep going as you are, mate, and we'll sing your name every single week." Yeah. He's been man of the match in my mind, probably 4 or 5 games out of the 7 we've played in the Premier League. He's been a revelation, and I've never disliked Iwobi. I just didn't think he was very good. So I'm really glad that a good guy has seemingly, touch wood for him, gone good.
That's exactly how I feel about him. I've always thought I've liked him. There's players Everton have had, and I've just can't wait for them to go. And I'm like, just leave, and you're not interested. Just I want you gone. He's definitely not one of those. So the fact you've just said that, that's exactly how I've always felt about him. I want him to do well. He's one of those. I've willed him on. And I'm just made up to see. We were singing his name at the weekend again, and I'm just made up to see him in that patch. He's got to be on the team sheet. I mean, look at the midfield then. So obviously we brought the new signings, and you got Onana and Guy started at the weekend next to Iwobi. That's got to be the strongest, I think, midfield we've had in a good while, hasn't it? I can't remember a stronger midfield probably since. I mean, I'm touching wood and Everton here because it's only we've won 1 game and we're only 7 games into the season. But I think sometimes you can just see how it works and you think that's going to work well. And it's probably how I felt when I first seen McCarthy and Barry playing together, when it was like, I feel like this is a really confident midfield that we can work on.
We did it. We had this sort of moment, in my opinion, as well, when we had Alan, Doucouré and James Rodriguez. The 3 of them, we knew James wasn't the box-to-box player, but as soon as you got the ball to him, something happened. Iwobi's different, he's more box-to-box, but this is what it feels like. But the difference with Alan and Doucouré compared to Ghana and Onana and Iwobi is the energy. Alan, as you can be critical of him because he doesn't seem to move as much as you'd really want. He's passing. He can be a class football. Like, you watch him and you think that's really good, but he just hasn't got the same engine he has in Italy because the game's slower. So he doesn't have that problem. He looks world class in Italy. Doucouré clearly got the energy, but hasn't got this. Hasn't got a footballing brain. He's flat-footed when he runs. You see Onana bouncing, ready to go. You see Ghana rushing into challenges, and if he misses it, he's got Iwobi backing him up, or he's got Onana stepping across. This midfield, the 3 of them, they've almost like they've been playing together their whole career, and they've played 1 full game together. It's been a breath of fresh air. Onana for 33 million, and look, I'm touching wood because again, we're talking 7 games into the season, but he has been as good as Iwobi's been in an improvement. He's been a breath of fresh air in that side. 21 years old, 6'4", 5", whatever it is, commanding midfielder, long legs, challenging, prepared to carry the ball. It is literally just the final third where you just go, if we just had and this isn't a dig at Damari Gray or Gordon or McNeil, but if we just had a better quality of attacker, Everton really could be a top side this season. Yeah. It's just at times we look a little bit blunt because we just don't quite have the ideas.
So it sounds like and I agree with this. If anything's going to let us down this season, it's going to be scoring goals, as we said before. For me, it's important to get Calvert-Lewin on a pitch. We had a discussion last week, Millsy and I, saying whether Calvert-Lewin comes not straight in because obviously weaning back in and whatever else, but whether he's a definite in the starting lineup. I don't think we've seen enough of Maupay in an Everton shirt for me to argue. But Calvert-Lewin, who's fit in that team, it's got to be in it for me. And I think the quicker we can get him in the team as a fit player, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can caveat my answer and say, look, and this isn't me digging out McNeil because, again, as much as I'm praising the players, McNeil's disappointed me. Actually, but I semi-expected him to disappoint me. He only got one assist in a Burnley side that really needed what was deemed the season before their golden boy. You know, the player that had been linked with Manchester United and all sorts. One assist. You know, I wouldn't have signed McNeil. I would have signed Maxwell Cornet if we really could have. You know, they were roughly the same price. We clearly did have the money because we didn't sell anyone after to bring in, you know, some of the players that we signed at the end. So I would have bought in Maxwell Cornet. So you're talking a Maxwell Cornet on the left-hand side. You're talking a Calvert-Lewin on up front. And then you are talking about a Gray or a Gordon on the right-hand side. Or if you could go and invest that extra little bit of money, maybe you bring in another player and maybe Gordon has a season where we can actually develop instead of just being, oh, yeah, you're going to go to Chelsea for 45, 50 million and learn. But Everton would look completely different with those two players, left and up front. Maxwell Cornet got 10 goals. Calvert-Lewin has easily got 15 goals in his locker. And then all of a sudden, as I say, Everton look like they can finish in the top 10 and we look better.
Yeah.
That's the only thing where you sit there and you go, I just wish we'd have been a little bit more sensible with the McNeil signing because you judge players on the season before. He wasn't very good in a side that needed him. And Maxwell Cornet came into that side and scored 10 goals. Yet they were the same money.
I know. I think buying McNeil quite early in the window was probably didn't know who we could get at that time, and he became available, and we thought he's available. The money's right. Let's have a go and see what comes of him. So just where your time and not taking up too much of your time, Mike. So just what are you hoping for the season? You've mentioned a couple of times about maybe hoping for the top 10. You're not expecting the world from us. What realistically, what can the Everton fans hope for? Like realistically hope for? Do you think? Because obviously, bearing in mind if you get an injury to one of these players, the strength and depth's not there, in my opinion. Tom Davies has to come in. He starts in midfield, for example. If someone goes, maybe Decore coming in, but if we lose Morpie and Calvert-Lewin can't come back, for example, you're relying on Rondon. I'm not asking for a prediction and colours to the mast type of thing. Go on. What's that?
I'll give you one. I think Everton finish on 49 points.
Off.
And probably in about 12th position. And if you'd have said to me literally 3 weeks before the season started, I would have snapped your hand off at that because I'm not expecting us to challenge Europe and I'm not expecting us to be in a relegation battle. I'm expecting us to be one of them teams that's just a bit blur, just there in the Premier League this season. We'll win games that we don't expect. We'll lose games that we don't expect. But what I do know is we're going to be more solid. We're not going to concede 66 goals this season. So yeah, I think we finish between 10th and 14th, between 47 and 50 points, and I think we're out of a relegation battle in April. And trust me, I take that all day. If it means I can sleep in May, I'm happy. What about you?
Similar, I think. For me, what's important for me this season is, I've said it there before, is nobody's on Lampard's back this season. We give him benefit of the doubt for the season. You can see a team forming, which you can already see it forming. We're only in September. You can see the nucleus of what he's trying to do. And just that the feel good stays. And I know, we're not bouncing at good or anything like that, but everyone feels like everyone's, it's lighter. We're happy with what we're seeing. We can see it developing. And that's what I want to see. And I'll take 12th and I'll take 50 points or whatever it now, if that's what we're going to get. Because Palace last season at home, we were down, weren't we, at half time. So I'll take that. And it's just, for me, it's not about where we finish this season. It's not about, there's no way we're going to challenge for anything. It's just about stabilising ourselves and seeing that there's a plan in place and we're going and we're moving forward and the wheels are turning.
And another thing, and I think a lot of people have been a bit shy to say this, but I mean, me, I'll just say it. I think over the last few years, us at Goodison can be guilty of being a bit quiet as well, not being the loudest, most vocal crowd, not being particularly aggressive. We've heard at times being outsang, whether you sit in the Gladys Street, Park End, wherever, it doesn't matter. I think as a club over the last few years, we've been guilty of being quite quiet. Whereas over the last 8 months, say, we have done everything to support our team, you know, from flares to welcoming the coaching like it's, you know, cup finals. You know, the atmosphere against Liverpool this season was unbelievable. Like, you know, screaming and shouting during the West Ham game this weekend. The crowd is different. And I feel like we've learned that how important we are actually to this football team. It doesn't matter the 11 players on that pitch, because if we're vocal, if we scream and we shout, we will put the ball in the net. There used to be a saying, I don't quite know the exact saying because my granddad used to tell it me, but they used to say, get the ball into the opposition penalty box and the Gladys Street would suck it in. Yeah. And that is absolutely paramount to who we are at Everton Football Club. It's our identity. And it doesn't matter whether you're from Birmingham, the Wirral, Aintree, Bootle, Everton, Neverton, doesn't matter. If we all support Everton in that way, Everton Football Team and club will be very successful. We just need to take a little bit of time, maybe a step back and refocus. Maybe even in future, and on another video I could discuss it, but maybe even the board still needs to change. Who knows? But right now, we appear to be going in the right direction, and I think we just need to strap in and celebrate with them as much as we can.
Mate, I agree 100% with you, and that's a positive note to leave it on, isn't it?
There you go. You see, look at that. Look, honestly, the Pricey and Mike video show just has to happen. It just has to happen.
They kept me on.
Forget Millsy. Fuck it.
When he's bathing the kids next time and he can't make it, give me a shout. I'll jump on.
Oh, mate, don't you worry. I'll rebrand the whole channel for you. Don't you worry about
that. Well, look, thanks very much, Mike. Really appreciate your time. If anyone's, you know, wanting to catch Mike, it's the Blueboyz Network on YouTube. Is that right, Mike?
Yeah, mate, and all socials, Facebook, Twitter. It's Blueboyz Network everywhere.
Blueboyz Network. Get on there. I'll see you later, Mike. Thanks everyone for listening, and cheers. Thanks very much. See you later.